It is a world of darkness, and the warriors of Gaia fight over the fate of the world against their enemy, the cosmic force of entropy and corruption, the worm. Unbeknownst to mankind, they wage a war against the coming apocalypse, with new cubs taking up the cause to fight with fang, clave, and gun and claw. They give the worm no quarter. They give it only rage.
Returning to his senses, Snarls would try and sense if there's any worm, and also just sniff to see if he can catch the scent of anything that's not the pack.
For the moment, you are safe and alone. The umbra around you is filled with only the spirits of nature. Many of the animal spirits venturing away, no doubt due to the blizzard, and the spirits that have been called upon to produce said blizzard.
Snarls would repeat the same kind of sensing back in the physical.
Tara starts moving in the direction of where they said they were going to meet. On the way, she also keeps an eye out for a place in which they might be able to afterwards make a shelter for the night. Because probably best that she sleeps tonight.
Darren in his Hispo form has the bag carrying, well, the stuff he packed, the beeswax inside the horn he was given, and whatever food he took with him, just holding it, having it in his closed mouth, which is definitely going to be big enough. Which I hope is big enough, right? Cool. I'm just going to carry it in my mouth.
You just see Dave running beside you guys, or walking beside you guys, carrying his rifle in his mouth. Or maybe grabbing it by the strap and dragging it.
Yeah. Snarls, growlings, living up to his name, snarling, backs away from D as they travel, and before long, starts running ahead, blindly through the snow, trying to get away from that.
God damn it,
follows
Tara runs
right next to him.
up with him.
Darren immediately, as Snarl begins moving, yelping loudly, that almost coyote-ish, quick series of yips, bolts after Snarls, easily keeping pace with him, his massive frame flying through the snow, leaving barely an impression behind. As Snarls run, tail between his legs away from the rifle.
Dave looks just confused.
Could I have caught up with him very easily?
Did you? Does nobody understand English?
No, but okay, let me be exactly what I mean. Could I have knocked him over as I've been running next to him?
Probably.
I'ma do that and just pin him to the snow.
Strength and brawl. The scene the pack eventually comes upon, considering they are all human, looks like when you saw two dogs play fighting that looked a little too close to really fighting. Snarls, belly up, paws batting at Darren with his hackles raised, biting and yelping, while Darren holds him down with a heavy paw and admittedly puts his teeth around Snarls' throat, having dropped the rest on the snow beside them, trying to keep him from moving.
If Snarls starts to calm down, Darren will release him and just nuzzle, essentially booping his massive snout against where Snarls' heart is, and just look into his eyes. until he's finally calm, hearkening back to Great Fenris and Uli.
Snarls, your willpower. The rest of you are kind of forced to wait and watch as the eventual biting and yelping of Snarls turns into a low growl, hackles raised, the pawing, kicking stops as his upper paws are just pushing at Darren's chest. And eventually he begins to lower his hackles and just kind of wait there in the snow. The wind and constant fall of snow eventually making him sneeze as some of it goes into his nose. And he begins to relax a bit as all the world, if nothing else, makes sense.
Snarls, semi-angrily looking to Dave, would say, I've made it clear many times I don't like guns. Keep it out of my sight.
I look confusedly, nod.
Meanwhile, the pack just barks at each other because nobody has partially transformed.
And I'll roll to...
Yeah.
Yeah, what's the roll?
Dex and Primal Urge.
Partial as well.
Not gonna bother rolling, because my mouth is gonna be full the whole time, so I'm good.
Darren, get Snarls out of your mouth. You don't know where he's been.
Should I also roll for Sense Swam again, if I can sense anything?
You may. No stench of the worm taints the airs around you, yet you are getting closer to the presence of one. You are getting closer to a very faint presence of worm taints not far ahead, the way you are supposed to go.
Snarls, looking to the rest of the group, would say, I think I can sense that we're getting closer to the stuffed nose leech. The one we're meant to find.
When we do get there... Snarls, I think you should keep a lookout in the Umbra just in case any of those Banes do come looking for us. We should know. D Prince, she looks over to him. You're going to be with me when I go speak to them. If they lie about anything, let me know. Darren and Dave, I think you two should be patrolling the area, looking out if those leeches do really mean us harm, or for whatever Snarls got the senses hunting us.
Darren shakes his tail in agreement.
Snarls would ask, should I only peer into the Umbra or actually enter it?
Peer into it. If you enter it, you have no way of communicating with us.
The only thing I'm thinking is it'll be hard to truly distinguish any features if anything does approach.
If you think you need to, go into the Umbra.
I'll let you know. I'll either go... That's when you'll know it.
If we have to communicate with each other, use the Garud tongue.
He'd nod.
And we also need to find a place to keep our stuff.
Tree in a bush, always a good spot.
Alright. She then looks to Darren and Snarls, who kind of look, they like they were fighting before and just says, "Are we all good to go? Continue."
Darren wags his tail again.
Tara moves forward.
Darren follows. Walking his
She-
boat by her side.
As they move, she's consistently looking out for their surroundings, keeping a key eye on everything.
Darren as well.
At the tree's edge, you begin to see the opening of the clearing in which you are to meet. Through the blizzard, it is difficult for much of the moonlight to penetrate through. It's hard to see entirely what's ahead of you. You are forced to push into the clearing before you see, maybe within 11 to 9 feet before you, figure of a woman waiting in the dark, her eyes gleaming red.
We would have had time to stash our stuff in between a tree and a bush, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wunderbar.
I mean, in a blizzard, it's going to be hidden pretty quickly, one way or another.
Guess I should go on patrol then.
Yeah, as I said, patrol with Darren.
When approaching her, would, well, using sense one, it be clear that she's the only worm-tainted being nearby?
Go ahead and roll again. Oh, she certainly does carry the stench of worm. Yet, there are a couple others not far, maybe within the trees of her kin. No doubt, that also carry it. She's not alone.
In the Garu High Tongue, Snarls would tell information.
Darren would whistle in reply. And begin his patrol, still keeping his things in his maw. He's not letting go of that horn. Especially not around leeches.
Tara moves forward along with, I assume, Dee and Snarls, changing into her Krynos form as she nears them.
D is going to do the same, though he's going to be emerging from the trees in Krynos.
Snarls would enter Hispo.
Stamina Primal Urge for Tara Snarls. As the two Krynos and the large Hispo begin to approach the leech out of the fog of the blizzard, soon becoming 3 Krynos Garu. The leech doesn't seem to recoil or move. Instead, the red eyes fix on the 3 of you. And despite the conditions and despite the faintness of the moon's light, you can briefly see the glimmer of her teeth as she smiles. Her fangs showing. Once you are close enough, she bows her head. Good evening. It is good to see you, young lupines. I was beginning to wonder if you would come.
Tara bows her head in return in the same fashion, before saying, "I hope you have come here to honor our agreement, Gabriel Ixia."
I have no intention of treachery, lest treachery be given.
Detecting that, is she lying?
No, she's not.
I'll give Tara a slight nod.
Snarls would also give a similar bow as Gabrielle did.
She gives a nod to Dee before looking back to the vampire. How has your journey west been?
Very fruitful. We have seen what it is that hunts you. And we also marked the trees so you would know where to avoid. That won't stop them for long, however.
Has she seen what spotted us?
She has, that's not a lie.
I'll give Tara another nod.
And what might it be?
Other lupines. Though they look different.
Could you describe them?
They carry the appearance of strong timber wolves, varying shades of gray. Very common among North America.
Is she lying?
No.
Those fucking Wendigo. I'll give a nod to Tara again.
The vampire's eyes seem to linger on Dee, studying.
Dee's going to stare right back at her.
Tara crosses her arms hearing that. How many?
That's 5. And yes, she's telling the truth, Dee.
In the bar.
Tara speaks in the Garu tongue to Dee, only saying, only give a signal if she lies.
He'll nod back.
Out of character, the Wendigos, that would be going against the litany, wouldn't it be?
Yeah. That is most certainly against the litany, though it does sound like it's only one pack.
Is there anything else of note about them that you managed to pick up on?
Sadly not. My apologies, we were not inclined to get close. I will say one thing I did note. They have a lot of very shiny earrings on. You might be able to hear it if you pay attention.
Thank you. Will not forget your aid.
And we will not forget giving. However, if you wish, we might be of further aid should these lupines be of threat to you.
Could I read her when she says that?
Perception, empathy. You get the impression she's just offering her services. Seems legitimate.
Tara just says, this is a matter we will deal with ourselves.
As you wish. Where might we find you after? When we come to call on the favor owed.
If you're ever around New York, there's a bar off of Central Park. I give her the name of it. If you ask about me, I'll hear about it.
Then I suppose farewell.
She gives a nod and says, safe trip to Alberta, then turns to leave.
The vampire stands where she is, becoming more difficult to truly see the outline of without moving. For those of you who watch, she seems to almost become a part of the blizzard. blending in with the torrent winds until she is there no more.
Would I still be able to sense them?
Yes.
Do they stay leaving?
For a while, for a few minutes, they stay in the same place, but then they begin to move, fade away further away.
Tara, returning to where Darren and Dave were approaching, asks, "Have you seen anything?"
Darren shakes his head.
As she goes to get their stuff, she explains, "What's hunting us is a Wendigo pack. Apparently they've seen fit to go against what the elders said. They're breaking the litany and trying to hunt us down. I think if we can set up an ambush for them, if we can take them down ourselves, maybe they might be able to carry a message back for us to the cairn. If nothing else, we'd at least gain some glory with the Wendigos."
Darren growls low at the rogue pack, the mention of the rogue pack.
Snarls would look to whoever's closest to him and say, "I'm going to head to the Umbra, are you joining me?"
Did you see anything in the Umbra?
I think we should get the spirit to look over them, see what they can find out. What rank, etc. So we know at least how powerful they are and what exactly we're dealing with.
As far as I know, they have 5 members, all of which apparently wear particularly shiny earrings.
Yeah, Snarls would not saying, "Yeah, I got that," but it would be good to know a little more.
Just for the sake of Darren and Dave. But if you can convince a spirit, they might listen, they might inform the Wendigos. That I don't think.
I'll nod and say, perhaps either way we are going to run into them. They already know what we are. Know we're pups. We don't know enough though.
We could move further west for tonight, make a shelter. Then tomorrow, set up an ambush for them.
Snarls would look to you again and say, "Are you coming to the Umbra with me or not?"
Alright.
Snarls would wait for Tara to look into his mirror shades before entering the Umbra.
Hey, Dave and Darren, we could probably go over to we could probably go try and set up a place.
Yeah, let's give it a try.
I'm going to paw at, knock Snarls with the paw lightly, and gesture with my head towards the trees where we're going to go. Where I decide we're going.
Well, Darren manages effectively to give Snarls directions before both he and Tara steps sideways within the umbra.
Darren walks the other two to where they're going to make camp. Yeah.
Anyway, the three of you intelligence survival. It's a good shelter. It's not going to be something that you could come back to repeatedly. It's get some good sleep in it, and probably have to rebuild it each time someone leaves. Mind you, there's also no way you could keep fire inside of this fucking thing.
Oh.
This is why you just wait for Snarls.
Anyway, Snarls, what is it you're doing in the Umbra?
So, my question is, that Stormcrow, is it still in my line of sight?
Yes and no.
Could I find it?
Now you're going to be tracking.
Yes.
So, if you're going to be tracking it within the Umbra, well, how are you tracking?
When I peered into the Umbra before and I saw it, did I catch a scent? Or no?
No. You can't, really. It's a little difficult to do that, considering the circumstances. You manage to very quickly spy and come across the faint traces of the Stormcrow, following the subtle sound of its wings, and more importantly, for how you are tracking it, where the branches and trees shake ever so slightly from its passing. And your presence in the Umbra brings its attention rapidly as you see it before long perched on the branch of a large tree, the Stormcrow looking down at you with harsh gray eyes and a massive wingspan larger than any eagle.
Snarls would immediately give a bow, still in his bow, placing his two front legs forward as he lowers himself, his chest touching the snow which is on the ground. He'd call out to the spirit, saying, "Spirit of the Stormcrow, that associated with the great spirit of the Grandfather Thunder. There's a pack of Wendigos stalking us, following us, hunting us, unrightfully, going against the litany. Could we request your help to understand better to what extent their power is before they come and catch us?"
The Stormcrow's head leans downward, its shadow cast over you as its feathers bunch, making it into a great looming shadow. Far greater than yours.
If that's the case, they would have the wisdom not to go against the litany.
The eyes flicker to you, its head cocking to the side.
She stares at it.
What knowledge of this Wendigo pack can you impart on?
That they seek glory, and that they will be the vanguard. And that its leader, its alpha, will be executioner of the sept.
Yet they are unable to find out the truth of what happened to their pup.
You can hear the creak of the branch beneath it as it squats down a little more.
Out of character. Can I tell what this spirit is getting at?
Intelligence primal urge.
Tara says to Snarls, let's go. Get back to the pack. And then turns.
Snarls would. The Stormcrow is still there, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Does it seem like it's going to talk anytime soon?
No, not per se.
Snarls, let's go.
Snarls would turn. Unlike most of the times, he doesn't bow to the crow and follows Tara.
You can hear behind you the Stormcrow leap off from the branch, cracking it with the weight under its claws and a clap of thunder from its wings as it flies off.
When they go back to the physical world, I want to ask Snarls if he knows how to make a false trail. Make it seem as though we're going off in one direction, kind of circle back and go to where the others said they were going.
The blizzard is still going on, correct?
Yep. As both of you return to the physical world, snow gathering on your fur, this time physical rather than that of the Umbra. Color comes back into full swing in an instant as you find yourself stood among the trees of Canada.
Snarls would see if he can catch the scent of anything that's not him or Tara.
So, do you think you can make or do you know how to make a false trail? Make it seem as though we're going one way?
I can say for sure we don't have to worry about footprints, but our scent is certainly something that the Wendigos could catch on. Especially me. He would slightly chuckle. We could... perhaps make a small fire off the side. Maybe distract them that way.
Maybe a particular path having, I don't know, broken like branches or flattened bushes as though we've trotted through that area. We don't want these guys to sneak up on us in our sleep.
Nalan, is there any other idea? Somewhere south, Snarls would look for a good, like, I don't know, lightly packed place with like packed trees and lots of bushes, to find like a good, kind of good place to make it seem they went off. After doing so, he would... Is it possible to make a fire?
Take some time, but yeah.
Snarls would ask Tara to, as quickly as possible, collect some branches and, twigs, all of that. What would I need to actually light it?
Tara will shift into Lupus to make it a bit easier to get around.
Snarls would also return to us from his bow.
Anyway, so we're just going to quickly try and make a relatively believable trail and camp, and then go off and join the others to kind of divert the attention of the Wendigo pack that's hunting us.
When you do get back, the pack has made a near permanent shelter. Again, not quite fit for having a fire inside, and it'll probably only last for a day or two. But that's more or less all you really need. You can get some good sleep there.
Okay.
But I think adjustments make it bad.
Tara, after having created the kind of fake trail, she would have gone into Lupus to make it easier to move around. So before going into the shelter that the others have made, I just want to do a quick circle around the place. Make sure it's all safe. Make sure there's no one nearby that could be dangerous, and then go back in. Well, go in.
Snarls would peer into the world, see if there are any spirits following, and also use sense moon.
You're safe. If anything, the only thing Snarls see is a messenger spirit rushing towards you, and it brings you word of what is happening in the second breed.